No.
We're only late because the chairman was
Exactly.
late.
Okay, I'm calling to order the Board of Selectmen meeting at 4:05 PM on April 11th. Board of Assessors, sorry, we were just talking about something else. Board of Assessors meeting, April 11th, it's 4:05 PM. Is anyone recording other than LakeCAM? I do not see anyone. Looks like we do not have any public comment as usual. All right, we need to reorganize. So, Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'm going to close my eyes and hope someone else volunteers
Can I
as chairman.
motion? Can I make a motion?
I will accept nominations for chairman of the Board of Assessors.
I motion that John Oliveri stay chairman.
Seconded.
Motion has been made and seconded. I will call the roll.
Can
First
I
of all,
oppose it?
do you accept the nomination?
Do I have an option?
You sure do.
I do, but I will not exercise it. I will accept the nomination.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Aye.
Mr. Lamoureux,
Aye.
Mr. Oliveri,
I refuse to vote for myself. I'm going to recuse myself.
an abstention, I assume.
Abstention.
The motion carries with 2 in favor and 1 abstention. I'll turn things back over to the newly elected chairman.
Thank you so much. I mean that with as much emphasis I can put into it, so. Okay, we gotta go through a couple of housekeeping items here. We need to, for agenda number 5, vote for who signs the employee payroll. Obviously, as the chairman, I have traditionally done that unless everybody wants to make sure we meet once
Make
a
a
week to
motion.
do that.
I motion that John Oliveri continue to sign the payroll as chairman of the board.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We also, we've historically, to kind of move things along, have also allowed for invoice signing to be with the chairman's authority, so you don't have to wait for all 3 of us to sign regular routine bills when necessary, so I will entertain a motion to have the chairman have the authority to do that as well.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Letter of authorization for Dave Golden to sign in Gateway. Thankfully, something not about me.
It's just for me to be able to sign paperwork on your behalf in Gateway. The exceptions to that will be the LA5 and page 1 of the recap. But I can submit everything else on your behalf.
Someone else signing other than me, I'm all in favor. I will actually make the motion that we authorize you to do that. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 These are
Motion
all
carries.
of those things you just voted on.
Should I leave them?
Okay, we have minutes from March 14th meeting that need to be approved and signed. We all had a chance to review those minutes. Okay, sorry.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from March 14th.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, and everyone has already signed off on them. Okay, we have some invoices, motor vehicle monthly reports, real estate monthly reports, going around. If we could all sign them if we haven't, and then I'm gonna turn it over to number 12, review and discuss charitable organizations, 3 ABCs, to David.
Yeah. So we typically during this time of year will review submissions of tax exemption requests from charitable organizations in town. I provided a list of applicants to you folks. There's not really anything of note. There are a few motor vehicles that have been added, as an example, to Sisters of Our Lady of Mercy's request. There is a new motor vehicle for cooperative production. And St. Isidore's Parish is a new applicant this year, but they've appeared on the list in prior years. They are a qualifying worship space, so they don't really have to apply unless they've changed the use and then changed back. So they should be granted that as well. Everything else on here is a repeat application, either for motor vehicle or real estate tax exemption in the town of Lakeville. Happy to take any questions.
I don't have any. Anyone have any questions?
Was there anybody that missed the deadline that's not on this list that will
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, everyone has applied. I had given an extension to one of the applicants, the Lakeville Historical Society, and they met the extended deadline. So they are also all set.
Okay, we don't need to vote them individually, correct?
You can do the whole list.
Slate.
Yep.
Entertain a motion to approve the charitable exemptions in total that have been presented to us for the fiscal year 2025.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Dave, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
This cooperative production,
Yep.
25 Long Point Road,
Mhm.
group home, there's another group home on Long Point, 11, that they don't qualify. It's owned by, I think, Sill.
I don't know their particular
Okay,
situation, but
I'm just curious.
if they haven't applied, then
Okay, just curious.
yeah.
Or I didn't know if maybe you had the address or, but.
Okay. Next item is we have to review and discuss the CPA exemptions.
Yeah, so I had hoped that the Department of Housing and Urban Development would have released their income guidelines by this point. They typically do release in April. I think last year, though, they released them in May. So unfortunately, I can't present you folks with the exemptions for this year because I don't have the income guidelines upon which to work. I will say, though, that if HUD fails to release before our May meeting, I would recommend that we use the FY23 guideline or FY24 guidelines so that we can process these for folks in advance of the next tax year.
Is this what we discussed, changing the amount on, or it's mandated by the state?
No, it's mandated by
By
the
HUD.
vote that folks, so the vote that town meeting adopted to create the CPA in town, CPA fund, is contingent upon HUD's guidelines. So we can't do anything.
So if we approve it without the new HUD guidelines, and then that changes allowing somebody to qualify, then we just...
Yeah, so the hard part of moving forward without HUD's guidelines is that the income typically goes up, so
Right.
more people qualify. So we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it, but I'm hopeful that HUD will get their act together in the next couple of weeks.
We need to table this, or
I
I mean,
mean,
it's nothing to do, I don't think we need to table it, we just wait
we
until,
just put it on the next agenda?
yeah,
When you have the info.
yeah.
okay. So we have regional resource group contract.
Mm-hmm.
But I know we're probably gonna talk about that in executive session.
Yeah.
Is that on here twice? Because, I mean, I know originally I'd asked it for,
Yeah.
to be on there, then realized it probably needs to be under executive session, so.
Yeah, so I can just make an announcement that that RG's contract will be up for renewal at the end of the next calendar year, I think, because I think you guys do a calendar year versus fiscal year, and so John wanted to discuss how you'd like to move forward. So I suggested that you put it on the under an executive session, as is your right under Mass General Law, to enter into executive session for the purposes of contract negotiation discussions. I will leave the room for that, and you folks can discuss it and then decide how you want to move forward, if you want to put it on a future agenda.
Right, I want to get ahead of it, obviously. I think twofold. One, going into you're into your last year. Secondly, is the timing wise, we have it off of the fiscal year,
Yes.
so we may need to figure out something with the town if we want to readjust it, talk about an extension,
Yeah.
kind of line it up with their FY,
Mhm.
their financial year, which is July 1, so.
Yeah, it'd be easier for us to.
Yes, rather than, next thing you know, it'll be the summertime, then we'll be in the fall, then we'll be
Why is it a
scrambling.
calendar year?
I think it just might be a factor of when you guys hired us the first time around.
No.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and we tried to move it at one point, and
Yeah.
I think, yeah, we just, that's why, part of the reason, I want to get way ahead of it this time,
Sure.
because we usually wait, and then in the fall, it's like, oh, just do it again the way it was.
And you
kinda
guys
like it.
operate off the same fiscal year as the towns?
I mean, most of our contracts are on fiscal year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Town year?
fiscal year.
Oh, fiscal year,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no, most of our contracts don't do the calendar year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, does it matter to you?
We'd rather do the fiscal year.
You'd rather do the fiscal?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yes.
Gotcha, okay, I had it backwards there. All right, do we have any new business to come before the board? I will just bring up as a FYI for the other board members, the select board, I was at their meeting the other night, they are looking to have us provide them with any chapter land that comes out during any year, just to keep an eye on.
Just a
type of a deal.
new list that we have to give them every year.
Yes, the good news is I talked to Mr. Golden, and guess what? We kind of already tracked that to some degree. It's easy enough for us to do it, so I'm
Yeah.
more than happy to speak on everyone's behalf and say.
Yeah, it's fine.
give it-
Yeah, so there was only a single parcel that came out of chapter this year. Last year there were more, but I spent much of today working with Vision to try to create a report that would tell us the properties that have been removed over the last 5 fiscal years, sort of mimicking the statute and how it requires back taxes to be calculated. It has thus far been unfruitful, but if it's something, we can really take it from 2 angles. If we really want to track back 5 years, we can manually go back and look at all of our properties that were in chapter and create a spreadsheet of when they came out. And if they, which my suggestion would be, is to, moving forward, just track who comes out in each of the fiscal years.
Yeah, if it's.
Because
yeah.
I've got 2 already, so come June, we've got 3 of the 5, so.
Is the town looking for a 5-year list?
I think if it's easy enough for us to compile, they're not like demanding they need to have it, but I think what they like to do is the jumping off point is as far back as we can go is reasonable now, and then we have this 5-year list that as the 5th year comes, the properties drop off, because
Right.
at that point, they're just back to regular standard
Right.
properties, and they can just monitor it. Not that, I think just more so for planning and, if open space wants to approach people to purchase land or whatnot.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to be a little proactive, because people are always saying, how do we know when this stuff's coming out? And
Yeah.
you obviously know when it's coming out if it's for sale.
Right.
Well, it's under chapter land, because
Yep.
the town has first right of refusal, but for people who take it out ahead of time, it's kind of off the radar, so I
Right.
think they'd like to figure out a way to monitor it.
Yep.
And it's easy enough for us to get them that,
Right.
so, just an FYI in case
Easy
someone
enough.
brings it up to you guys. Any old business? Okay, having said that, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to
with the-
adjourn.
Wait a minute, we need to adjourn from open session, and go into executive session, not to return to open session.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Seconded.
And the reason is for what David pointed out, contract negotiations,
Right.
discussions. Okay, because it's going into executive session, I think we need to do roll call. So all in favor, Oliveri, aye.
LeBlanc, aye.
Lamoureux, aye.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. We're going into executive session. Thank you.